Okay, looks like we're live. Thanks for those of you who are already jumping on. We're just doing another live stream this week about some of the new updates that are out. And I was messing around with the universal control just to see exactly if it would be useful with Logic. And I found some really interesting things that I don't think are working correctly. Uh, it's either a bug or they just didn't close off some of the features that they thought that they had closed off for the release. And so we're going to take a look at that for a moment. We have inside of our preferences for the new operating system version, uh, in our displays, we have our universal control option. And so this allows us to set our mouse and keyboard, so this is our typing keyboard, to control multiple computers and or iPads. And so with this, for instance, I can use my mouse right here, and I've got another webcam up in the corner here with my iPad in it. That's a real-time web camera there, just so that I can show this. I was going to share the screen to it, but one of the things I want to demonstrate crashes that every time we do it when we use the IDAM stuff in Logic. And so what we're going to do is just use that camera. So I have my mouse. You can probably barely see it on the screen, moving it around. If I drag this down to the bottom here, and it goes where I put the placement here, so I can actually put my iPad wherever I want. I put it in between the two and it's in the middle. So I'm going to move my mouse down into that corner. And now you can see maybe barely, I'll move something on the iPad screen. So you can see that there's some action moving there. And so my mouse now can control either the computer or my iPad. I just have to treat it like a separate monitor. Although it's not a monitor in this case, it's controlling what's on the iPad, and it's not an extension of anything. So what does that mean for what we're doing? Well, the interesting thing that I noticed was when I tried to do some creative movements around some files. Now, in theory, you're going to be able to, I don't know if it's actually, I think they pulled some of the features out that they originally promised, but I just pulled an audio file out onto Logic from my Apple Loops. And once you select this, you can move it around. Ooh, see, we've actually run into this issue. So there are some issues happening here. I may have to restart Logic. I've been doing this experiment all morning. I'm trying to see different ways to make it work. And right now, having universal control screws up Logic if you do something a certain way. So let me quit Logic real quick, and I'll just reboot that up for a second. So what I've been trying to do that kind of almost works is pull a file from Logic through universal control onto the iPad. And as I said, it almost works, and then it screws everything up. So I think that there's some pretty major bug happening here, because normally you can just grab a file and move it around. I'm going to pull it onto my second monitor and down onto my iPad. So check this out. If you look at my iPad screen now, which has a reflection of my face on there, I can move this. I'm not let go of the mouse yet. And so that file has shown up in GarageBand from Logic. So I've just now successfully copied a file from Logic into GarageBand. I say successfully. That's not really success yet. I just pulled it over and it's recognizing the name of it. So the name is showing up. It has a little plus sign. If I drag it into here, it says this audio file will be imported into the sampler to create a new sampled instrument. And it says you can't do this one because it doesn't accept audio files. So it says it wants to try. And this is really promising because this is the functionality that I want from Universal Control. I want to be able to do something on my iPad and just click and drag it and pull it into Logic, or from Logic into, a different app on here. When I let go though, it does this. It says importing one item remaining. And then that's where it gets frozen. So it's not fully working. And this is what causes issues. If you're in a second, I'll probably cancel this this feed here for a second and just show you up in Logic. But right this moment, my mouse is even frozen. So I'm going to cancel that with my finger, quit out of that app, and let's see if I can't get my mouse back. Because it's like stuck in limbo all of a sudden. It's done this a couple times, but it comes back. So look at my Logic screen up above. Part of that video is covering it. So as soon as I get my mouse back here, I will be able to show you that. I'll move that around. Okay, got my mouse back finally. And let's just shut that video down for a second. Now over in Logic, it pulled that file and it looks like it's now like an alias or something, but it's just missing part of it. It's like in progress of being moved. And then we have like this new ghost track underneath that you can like put something on top of sometimes. I don't know, it's not even letting me double click to create anything new. So we've just like messed up Logic a little bit. But if I delete that, it like is still there. So some super weirdness about this, and it's definitely a glitch. But the promise of this is that eventually we're going to be able to just drag files in back and forth between some of these different apps. And so that's pretty cool. So this is one thing I wanted to talk about. Let me look at the comments here. Sheldon was saying, howdy, is it consolidated? The audio file, try bouncing it in Logic so it creates its own unique copy, maybe. Long shot. Yeah, so the short answer is I've tried everything. I've tried all of that stuff. I tried making new files. I've tried making files from the Finder. And in fact, I can't even drag stuff from the Finder into the iPad GarageBand. But I could do it from Logic to GarageBand. There's like some sort of bridge that's there that I think that they're intending to update, but they just didn't take the hooks out when they were exporting or when they were releasing it this week. So something to look forward to, some more connectivity here. So the other thing, and this is how I think I'm currently going to be using this, and I'm going to have to quit and restart Logic because it's just, once you do that, it definitely just mangles it up a little bit. So let's get my mouse back. There it is. Reload Logic and new empty project. Fine. Software instrument. So what I typically use this for is the IDAM connectivity. So if you haven't used the IDAM stuff, this is the ability, and I'm going to turn on my video back for the other iPad video here. And let's close GarageBand. And let's open up like the iSim from Arturia. Cool app, not too expensive, and it sounds great. I'm going to plug in my iPad over on the side there. That's connected to my computer now. And in theory, we'll see what is actually going to be working here. There it is. It shows up in the bottom of my audio devices in my audio MIDI driver, and I'm going to enable it. And this is the reason why I can't just go straight video into the computer for the stream, because once you enable that, it cancels any video going over the cable. There are ways to do it through AirPlay, but I found that that's less reliable sometimes. And so now this is an audio device that the computer can see. And then we have the MIDI device over here in our MIDI studio portion. So my iPad is now connected audio from the iPad to the computer, but MIDI both directions. And that's what IDAM does for us. It allows us the inter-device audio and MIDI. Okay, so inside my preferences, my input, I want to switch that to the iPad. Not the output, because the output is what you're going to be hearing on the stream. Let's apply. Cool. So now on my instrument track, I can load up an instrument, and I'm going to be loading up, let's see, The external instrument, it'll be stereo because this is a stereo, has a stereo output. You can have a stereo output with the app. You couldn't necessarily with the original Oberheim, but that's okay. MIDI destination, iPad, MIDI channel, just do all. And then output, or the input for the audio, I'm going to do channels 1 and 2, which is that the output of the iPad. So now, here's where some of the cool stuff happens with the new universal control. So say that I'm working right here, and actually I'm going to move my screen just a little bit. Let me get my preferences back up, because right now the iPad is like in the middle, and let's see if I'm going to move that over right below my main monitor so that it's just a straight up and down, because my iPad is sitting right below the monitor right now. And so I got that set there. So now I can be like playing on my keyboard. Right? And I'm like, ooh, you know what? I mean, I could even have this further away at some point if I want to. I don't have to have it within reach, because if have the iPad directly in front of me, oftentimes it makes the most sense just to use my hands here and control it that way. But if I'm using my mouse a whole bunch, I can just put my mouse straight down on the screen past the bar, and then all of a sudden my mouse is on the iPad, and I can be like, ooh. And then I come back up here and I'm just continuing working in Logic. So my hand never had to leave the mouse, and my left hand didn't have to leave my piano keyboard. And so that for me is right this moment the best way to incorporate universal control into the Logic workflow with an iPad. And so they both I can just keep on going up and down, or if I'm down here, one of the things I've always hated is if there's a place where you can like type in, I don't know if there's any on this one, where you can actually do some text typing, then it's a lot nicer in some ways to be able to just real quickly reach for the typing keyboard instead of having one pop up on the iPad screen, or having to move the iPad screen down so you can more easily type on it or something. And so I think that this is a super awesome way of like incorporating even better the iPad into the workflow that we're doing. So I think that that's a really beneficial thing. I'm hoping that as this develops, as we get a new version or two down the road with universal control, because it is, let me open that back up for a second. Let's see, I think I've already closed it all the way, so let me open it. It says universal control is all beta. And so that's the part that right now they're going to be testing this out and fixing things. So the thing where I'm dragging from Logic into GarageBand and it like 60% of the way gets there, then it all freezes everything. That's the beta part of this. And as soon as they start figuring out exactly how to use it better or what to use it for, then I think that we'll start seeing more of those features added in. You can, in the same menu, switch this so that instead of running the iPad as itself and just connecting it in through the IDAM protocol, you can switch this right here into an extension of your computer. And that's actually messes up everything. So we're going to stop that for a minute. That actually changed up one of my whole screens there. But a lot of promise with this. So you can use it in Sidecar mode as opposed to universal control mode. And either one of those things is actually a really interesting way of doing it. So with Sidecar, then I can use my iPad to see, Logic itself. And with an Apple Pencil, you can control Logic. But that's with this iPad, the M1, you have to have the Apple Pencil 2, not the original. So there's a bunch of little quirks like that, but I do think that there's a lot of promise with some of this stuff. Okay, what we want to see then would be more fleshed out version of this. And, I think the way that all of this stuff is connecting now is pretty amazing. So for instance, just in case you haven't done this, let's just do a drummer track here. So you can see this drummer track. And let's just get like a bass, just something super dumb here. Oh yeah, that fits the definition of what I said as dumb, but perfect. I mean, that's what anybody who plays with Kyle the drummer is going to be playing bass like that. So. Right? Okay, cool. I just needed something in here. So what we can do then is when we want to get this, to be used in other places, there's a few different things that are really nice with this. And so when we go down to our file menu and share, we can say project to GarageBand for iOS. And we haven't even saved this. Kyle's Best Jam, of course, because it is Kyle's Best Jam. It's his only jam. And we'll just hit save. And so now in GarageBand out here, I'm just going to go out and we might have to search. I don't know if it's actually showed up yet. It should show up automatically, or very close. But it might not yet. So let's do Kyle's. Come on, Kyle, show up. We may have to look in the folder. Kyle's Best Jam right there. So now this is a little bit of weird sound just because of a mismatch of something. But we could come in here and say we're just, working on stuff and we're like, you know what? I actually want to add like some smart strings to this. Or, a synthesizer or a guitar part or whatever you want. I don't know what let's just do more sounds. Yeah, we'll just leave it that way. But we can come through here and add MIDI and stuff to this part. Yeah, some definitely weird. Just ignore the weird sounds. I think it's because of the way I have this set up. But we added a few notes there. I'm just going to get out of this project now, like that. And one of the cool things about this is that after we've done things, we've added parts in the GarageBand version of the Logic song, then those parts actually can be added back into our Logic project. And sometimes we have to, I think with this one, it's been a little while since I've done it, but let's save this project real quick. Kyle's Best Jam. Let's close it and then let's reopen it. And it says, do you want to import some stuff from in there? We're going to say okay. And whatever I just did in the GarageBand version gets pulled in there. So now we're in another way of working with our iPad where we can have a project, we can export it to GarageBand for iOS. We don't get to mix it in there because all of it gets, rendered down into a single stereo file. But we can add stuff, and then whatever we add does translate back into logic. And so I think that that's kind of handy. Okay, so this has really just been a look at some of these features that we have when we're connecting this device. I'm going to be working on a video at some point where I go through this more in depth, but I think it's worth looking at just what universal control can do for us right now. And if you have an iPad that this works with, then definitely check it out if you're on the newest version of Monterey. You do have to be on the like 12.3 or whatever it is for it to work, but and the iOS device has to be on the newest version as well for those to both work. But kind of cool. So interesting to check out. You've all been kind of a quiet group today, and that's fine. If anyone has any questions or anything, let me know in the chat, because in about 2 minutes, I'm going to be wrapping this up. I just wanted to make this video while I was thinking about the universal control. I thought it was super interesting having that specific tool kind of working between Logic and GarageBand, but not really working, because I think that it's going to bring some interesting things in the future. But only if you buy, the Mac Studio, and only if you download the latest software. I'm just kidding. It doesn't rely on the Mac Studio computer, but that's what Apple wishes you would think. It wishes that you would always think everything has to be done only on the new computer, so you'd go off and buy it. I don't work for Apple, and so I get to say things like that. It's kind of fun. Okay. Well, you're all super quiet. And that's okay. I'll talk to you all later. This was just a short stream. We're going to do a longer series next week with some actual production techniques and things. But enjoy your day. And if you're watching this as a replay, you missed out. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification so you can see when I'm streaming. Talk to you later.